Hi, my name is Franca. I'm a lawyer at EEO Specialist, and I spend all of my time working in the space around sexual harassment, discrimination and bullying. There's been some really significant changes to the laws, particularly related to sexual harassment and some other related behaviours. And this video is going to explain to you what those legal changes look like. We're going to start firstly over this side here with the definition of what constitutes sexist behaviour. So historically, often sexist behaviour was not unlawful. It might, for example, breach your code of conduct in relation to treating people with professionalism, courtesy and respect, but it often was not considered unlawful. So sexist behaviour is comments or actions of a prejudicial nature based on a person's sex or gender. And at the other end of the definition, we have sexual harassment and gender discrimination. These definitions have been around since the late 1980s. It's these two new definitions that I want to focus on to help you understand where they now fit into the landscape and perhaps why they were created. Let's first have a look at this definition called sex-based harassment. This definition came into effect in September 2021. And it borrowed many of the same elements of the definition of sexual harassment, except for with one difference. So you'll see here that it has to be unwelcome conduct, same as sexual harassment. They've created a hypothetical, imaginary, reasonable person. Their job is to look at the behaviour complained of and ask the question, could someone be intimidated or offended or humiliated? Again, same as the definition for sexual harassment. The difference between these two definitions is this middle part here. And so the unwelcome conduct is of a demeaning nature in relation to a person's sex or gender. What might that look like? It could include comments, negative comments made such as women can't drive big pieces of equipment or men don't know how to care. So anything where the behaviour is considered to be demeaning in relation to that person's sex or gender. So you can see that this new definition really would pick up on those behaviours which historically would have been called sexism and not unlawful. What about this definition here though? So this definition has just come into effect in December 2022 in the Respect at Work Act. And it's called hostile workplace environment. So as the name suggests, part of the element of the definition is that a hostile environment is created at work. And you'll see again, they've borrowed the third part of the definition around the reasonable person. So that's the person that would look at that behaviour and decide if someone could be intimidated or offended or humiliated. The middle part of the definition, so it's a hostile environment by reason of a person's sex or an attribute that's normally attributed to that person's sex. So how does this look different from this definition? The first thing to say is that this doesn't have to be directed at a specific person in order for them to make a complaint. So there could be images or objects in the environment not specifically directed at somebody, which would create that hostile environment. Someone could make a complaint about it. The other thing, which is where this definition was in relation to a person's sex or gender, this is also, but this could also be in relation to something of a sexual nature. So the classic 1980s example of posters or calendars with sexual images of women on it, if they were in a workplace but not specifically directed at someone, they would now constitute a hostile workplace environment, particularly if the person who's being portrayed is a minority in that workplace, often women in a male-dominated workplace. So these two definitions are there to fill the gap between perhaps what was previously sexist behaviour or what had a sexual element to it but was not specifically directed at someone. And then we have our other two definitions which are still the same and have been for the last 20 or so years. So sexual harassment is unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature Again, we've got that hypothetical reasonable person. And gender discrimination is when someone is actually treated less favourably than another person in the same or similar circumstances because of their gender. So that's a step up from sex-based harassment, and it would include examples like someone not getting a job because of their gender, or not being offered a promotion because of their gender. If you would like to know more about these definitions and how you can educate your staff in relation to them, then please contact me, Franca at franca.com.au.